So we didn't really know much, but the way Mata was talking about Brock seemed like he would fit in perfectly, and I think he's fitting in way more than perfectly.
Hey guys, this is Pedro back with another interview, this time covering VCT Americas Stage 1 for Media Day. For this occasion, I'm here accompanied by s0m of NRG, coming off of their appearance in Kickoff, now looking through to bounce back and improve in Stage 1 and then everything beyond that point. So, s0m, gotta give my thanks to you for this quick interview. Obviously, it's fair to say that plenty of things happened within the NRG camp from the last time we guys or people saw your team in the main stage. So still, before we get into that kind of thing, I want to ask you,
hmm
how has the break been for you and the rest of the team having to improve for stage 1?
Um, it's been great. I mean, obviously, like we made roster changes, and so with that being done, we don't really have the time to kind of have a break. So the moment we could like get a fifth, get a coach, we instantly started practicing. So we didn't really have much of a break, but I think it was much needed practice.
Yeah, such as the way of the scene in which, if things are not working, then you guys had to make a change, and such as the way to in order to have a much better chance of doing well later on in the season. And so, going into that kind of thing, you guys brought in Brock and Mike's as the head coach. Brock coming in to replace Verno, and then Mike's coming in to replace Bonkar. How has that kind of recalibration process, or more so process, been like for you guys to have to slot these two people into the squad and having to, I don't want to say reset, but more so just uh start from scratch,
Yeah.
from now till then?
Yeah, I mean, no matter what, when you change your coach and any player, obviously things you kind of are resetting, no matter how you really look at it. Obviously, you have your core players, but yeah, I mean, we did change a lot in terms of like practice on the strategic side and just like every day to day things. There has been a lot of change, but these are all changes that we kind of expected. So everyone on the team is pretty vocal about like how they would want certain things ran or even like outside the game, you know? Everyone's pretty vocal. So honestly, like there was a lot of change, but I think the change was really easy to implement. So I think so far everything's going well.
Amidst the entire like search for the replacements for those two outgoing people, what was that kind of process like? Was it really just sort of like just looking at them first options, and then they were brought on, or did you guys have other people like you have it into consideration before reaching Brock and Mike's?
I mean, obviously, no matter what, if you make changes, you're gonna have to look at all the options you have. Kind of just lay it down on the table. And it's also like you got to make sure the organization that's backing you and that you're representing is willing to do whatever they can. So it's kind of like you just lay out all the options and you kind of just pick and choose with the org. Um, but yeah, we did have other options that we were looking into.
And such is the way that you guys ultimately ended up with Brock and Mike's. How do you kind of describe these two kinds of people in the server, and having to include their thoughts and rationale and psyche into the already established NRG game plan, and how does that kind of contrast that to those that were in the team in Verno and Barker? What has been the biggest thing that they have brought to the table that stood out to you? I'm talking about the incoming guys.
Yeah, yeah. So starting with the head coach Mike's, so we've when we like laid out all the options and Mike's was one of the options. Um, we asked around obviously some people that's worked with Mike's in the past. We asked around just like what are some good things about him, and one of the good things was that his defense, his ideas on defense side on like across all maps has been really strong, and the past teams he's been on has proved that. And I think I already see it. Like the way he talks about server time and like the way he talks about defense on every map is very like it makes sense. Everything makes sense that he wants to do on defense, like pushing and pulling, certain parts of the map that are like priorities. Simple things like that is like a big thing. So I think on for Mike's just overall strategics on defense side helps us a lot because obviously our attack side as NRG's core has been like always good, but it's mainly falling back on our defense that like we may be behind a little bit. So I think bringing in Mike's has helped tremendously already. And as for Brock, honestly, I really didn't know much about Brock. But Mata has played with Brock in the past, and Mata hard vouched for Brock, and we trusted him. And it's kind of weird with players. So like Brock doesn't stream. He doesn't like post Twitter clips. Like so you don't really know anything about him. All you can see is like really gameplay, right? But gameplay only tells you so much about personalities, how you could mesh, things like that. So we didn't really know much, but the way Mata was talking about Brock seemed like he would fit in perfectly, and I think he's fitting in way more than perfectly.
Mhm. How would you describe him as personality wise? Is he the type of player that is like very serious in the way he does things that although he presents himself from the outside as like a very secluded person, but like once he's
Yeah,
in a team, then he basically does everything that one would expect a professional to do and then some.
yeah. Honestly, the best way I can explain Brock is like he's just a teddy bear. So like
Mm.
he's super nice guy, super chill guy, but he's also hilarious at moments. Like you can joke with him, no problem, no questions asked. You can just do whatever you want, just like talk to him, troll him, whatever you want, and then he basically just matches your energy. But at the same time, he is a nice guy.
Okay.
Like I've
Okay.
never seen him rage ever in a ranked game or scrim. So the way I see it, he's like a teddy bear.
Probably the most chill guy in VCT.
Yeah, and it's not like by chill guy, I don't even mean like he doesn't talk. Like he
Yeah.
has his own personality, but it's just like he matches everyone else's personality. So obviously me, FNS, and like Mata, like we always troll each other and like talk smack about each other, and then he'll just randomly join in, and then we all start talking smack about each other.
No, that definitely reminds me of some people that I have talked to in my life. So yeah, I mean, when you have someone like that on board, definitely brings a very great environment to the team. And hopefully, this kind of thing can carry over into the actual matches itself. Hopefully, in due time, of course. And so, yeah, like now with that said, I mean, when people look at NRG, and having to make the changes that you guys have to make, which is definitely understandable in the sense, many people will kind of look at you guys, starting off on the back foot and, having to try to kind of start over with a few weeks in advance or a few months in advance. You know, some people might not look at you guys in the same way as it was back in the start of kickoff. Nevertheless, how do you kind of look at the team's current level, with this new version in relation to the rest of the league, and also how do you kind of look at the road ahead in the upcoming group stage of stage one? Given that, I mean, fair to say that's going to be a pretty tough group to get out of, with the likes of
Yeah.
G2, Leviathan, MIBR, and yeah.
Um, I think so. Yeah, obviously, like for kickoff or before kickoff, we had a lot of high expectations. And I don't think that like that affected us. I think it's just like we fumbled when it like mattered. But I think going into split one, I think right now we have a really good map pool. Like with the time that we've had changing a coach and player, the map pool that we have is pretty insane. Obviously I'm not gonna go into detail, but practice has been going well. I think I've said this before for an NRG content. I don't think they posted it yet, but um, this is by far the most like I felt practice is like actually practice.
Hmm.
So a lot of teams, they might play scrims to win. They might play scrims just to practice one strat. But for us, this is the first time I've been on a team where like I would lose a scrim. I could lose it like 20-4. And then after I lose that scrim, I'd be like, holy shit, excuse my language, but like, holy shit, we just learned a lot, even though we lost 20-4. So it's kind of like, I've said this before, but this is the most I've genuinely learned from practice. And like, obviously, like the start of the week, you're going to lose a lot more than what we are now because when you lose so much, you kind of like bring in those protocols and just like certain reactions to certain things. So I think right now we're at a pretty good level. I don't want to jinx us, and I don't want to say that we're going to make Toronto, but at the end of the day, the goal is to make Toronto.
Of course, and hopefully you guys can start this road in stage one, and hopefully can start off with a decent track record. And so, Son, gotta give you my thanks for providing all of the insight within the NRG camp as it is right now. Gotta give you the thanks also for the interview, and also gotta give you the thanks for the answers that you've given me in said interview. So that said, I'm gonna have to wrap up here. So thank you so much, and best of luck in stage one.
Thanks for having me.